guys, welcome back to Honey and Rock episode 97. I'm Sophie, and this is my friend Olivia.
Hey.
Thanks for coming on. So, Olivia and I don't really know when we met, but we go to church together, if you're wondering. You're going to be a junior, right?
Yeah.
In high school. And we're obviously in the youth group together. I remember when you came to church the first time, but I don't remember when that was. Like, I remember, meeting you.
Yeah, I don't really remember the first time I met you.
Yeah, it's just
always
happened.
just
here, right? And if you're wondering, I call her our grandma name. She's Angie, and I'm Paula.
Yeah.
Did that come from West Virginia?
Yes.
So we went on a mission trip in West Virginia, and somehow, at some point, we came up with grandma names for each other.
Yeah.
And here we are. And so Olivia is going to share a little bit of her testimony. And then she just recently got back from a mission trip, and so she's going to tell us some things about that. So I'm excited to hear more about it because I only heard a little bit about it at Inside Kickball at church, which is pretty fun. Didn't win this year, which was kind of disappointing.
We didn't get good teams.
The teams were terrible. It was not good team making. If me and Olivia were captains, we could have made the teams more fair. It would have been more fun for everybody. So Matt, if you're listening, take our advice.
Yeah.
Sort of do what we tell you to. But anyways, you can start with your testimony wherever you want, just so people get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah. So I have always grown up in church and always been so curious about the Bible and the history aspect of it. Mm-hmm. So I was always just so entranced by all the Bible stories and stuff. And I realized when I was 8 that I did not have Jesus and I needed him to be with God.
Yeah.
And so realizing this, I put my faith in him and I got baptized. Around the same time, I was adopted again. So that was also a big, 2 big steps in 1 year. And
right.
I think through that, God really helped me just trust in him because of those 2 big steps.
Yeah.
And so I've just been in and out of seasons of just living for God, and I think this past year has really solidified what I want to do in life for him, because like everyone, I have seasons of doubt, and those hit really hard when I do, and just trusting in God each and every day is what I've been trying to work on.
Yeah, it's like a daily choice.
Yeah.
I read something today actually that was like that, and I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she was like, no, you have to surrender this idea every day. And I think that's been encouraging of we all go through these different seasons of doubt. You've been through a lot in your life. And so it's of course, we all have these seasons of doubt. It's what you choose to do with it. And when you experience doubt, you can either run away from the whole idea of who Jesus is and just let that fear take over, or you could dive in deeper and try just to learn more and more. Oh goodness, I wish I knew where I was in the Bible, but it says I believe, but help my unbelief.
Yeah.
And that has been very prominent in the season of life for me, of just I do believe. I do believe in Jesus. I believe that Jesus died on the cross for our sins. I believe that he rose again 3 days later, and that we have life forever with him when we believe that. And in response to believing and out of love, we obey Jesus. We're not saved by our works, but out of love, we do obey who Jesus is. And I do believe that. But every once in a while, the seed of doubt will come in and be and Satan wants to. He'll be oh, but what about this? Or why would this happen? Or why did you have to go through this and this? And it's no, I believe, help my unbelief, and Satan, get out of here. And so I think that's encouraging. And as Christians, we need to not, be so maybe ashamed of having seasons of doubt, but instead get into community with others and be willing to talk about that. And then I do think what's really sweet about your story is when you were adopted and then met Jesus, I really like how you said 2 big things happened in one thing, and just trusting the Lord's timing in that.
Yeah.
And you went to your parents' home for the perfect timing and the perfect reason and the biggest blessing in their lives and in your life. And it's just really sweet that the Lord worked all that together for his good and ultimately for our good as we trust and believe in him. And because of that, we got to meet, because then you came to our church.
Yep.
And it's been really cool to watch your growth. So we also ran cross country together. Obviously, I'm done with that. I'm ex cross country runner. And she was like, tell me about practice before we got here. And I was like, I actually forgot people had to go to cross country practice. But it's also been really sweet to like watch you grow in that. And it's been sweet to get to like you would ride with me on the way to church on Wednesday nights. And it's always been like really sweet to get to talk to you and know you and get to know your heart. But just over this past year, honestly, to see your heart for missions and for who Jesus is, she's also genius. And didn't you want to be like an engineer, architect, or something? And she's always talking about this, and I'm like, oh, good job. I'm taking my CP class over here. But it's been really sweet to see how the Lord has been working in your heart, and just like opening it up to whether that is the path you take, architect, engineer, which one was, whatever that is, and how you can love the Lord and serve Him in that aspect, but also how you have this heart for missions and how you're also able to serve Him in that way too. So tell us a little more about your mission trip, where you went, how it impacted you.
So I went to Budapest, Hungary, not last week, the week before, with a group of high school students, and we went through the IMB, International Mission Board.
Yeah.
And I found out about this trip through a camp called Summit that I went on right after Christmas. So it was during Christmas break. And it was just like a discipleship and evangelistic training kind of deal with a bunch of other high schoolers. And I heard about this trip and I was like, oh, I need to go, because like I have been looking for trips like this, like geared towards high schoolers, because they're not offered very, and if they are, like it's not very many, because we are under 18, so they don't really offer that to people. So I was like super excited about it, and so I like begged my parents if I could go, and they were like, okay, well, we have to look at it and see. So I applied for it, and the main reason I applied for it was because I wanted to like see what missions was really like.
Yeah.
Because I do want to be a long-term missionary one day. So I just wanted to like get a little bit of experience, even if it was for 1 week.
Right.
But it was really cool. And going into it, I didn't really know what we were doing. They didn't really tell us anything other than we were getting on a plane with other high schoolers and going across the world to share the gospel.
Literally across the world.
Yeah. That was a long plane ride.
Yeah, I bet.
But we got to explore the city when we got there, and every day there, a normal day would look like just going to this rented out space that we all met at, because there was like 40 people on our team.
Right.
And we would just read the Bible together, debrief what had happened the day before, talk, and just get to know each other. And then we would do a session of just like learning new tools to share the gospel. And then that afternoon we would just go out into the city and talk to people. So it was scary. Yeah, before the trip everyone was like, are you nervous? I was like, no, like why would I be nervous?
Right.
Like I was like, this is gonna be a piece of cake. It was not. Because West Virginia was so easy, like to me, like when we went on that trip, it
was natural. There was something about it, and maybe because it was in America, but like we would, and for context, in West Virginia, we would just go up and we had like a team of 3 to each house, and we would knock on a door and we would just start talking to them, and it was very natural, which seems strange because people in America don't normally just like, some people turned us away. But there was something that was like simple about it.
Yeah, it was not simple there. The culture there is pretty cold, and they are just like, it's even worse when you try to get into the gospel. Like you start talking to them, they're like, you're a crazy American. Like, why are you talking to me?
Right.
Like, I just want to go on my walk alone.
Right.
But like once you start like talking to them, they're just like even more like, I don't need to be here. Because it's just crazy to see like how Europe is such a dark place. Like I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Because I like had heard that the International Mission Board was taking missionaries out of Europe to go to other places because like Europe's just like Europe, like they already have churches there and stuff like that. It's not like the Amazon rainforest or like Asia, like
hidden places.
All these places where people like know that they're missing something, they just haven't found it.
Right.
And that's what's so great about people going to those places. Like they can share that, but in Europe, everyone just thinks they're fine. Like they don't need anything. They haven't made. So that was pretty hard to like say like, but you are missing something. Like you're missing the one person who can save you.
Yeah.
And a lot of them had a Catholic background or were atheists. So
that is interesting, and I think we're quick to like I have this image of different places we go out on missions or other people go out on missions, and I have this image, but it's like no, but we all need the same God. And when we don't have Jesus, we're missing something, and we're broken without it. And it's whether you know it's Jesus that you're missing, or you just know you're missing something. But that had to be hard, just like know what people are missing. Sometimes I'm like, you're missing Jesus, look, just like. But we can't obviously force people to be saved. We just have to love them well and reveal it to them. And Jesus is going to do his work on his time. But that is hard to know. Like, this is what you're missing. You're missing Jesus. We need Jesus. And just like, oh, I can do it without him.
Yeah, and that just goes back to like what I was struggling with, because before going on the trip, I was really struggling. I was like, I don't feel the Holy Spirit. Like I can't share with, I felt like I couldn't share with go across the world to share with others if I didn't have anything to pull from. So I was like going through the fruit of the Spirit, because the fruit of the Spirit is like good to like read through when you're trying to like be closer to the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And I just was like pulling out of nothing, and I realized on this trip that it's not about the religion. I mean, it is about the religion, but it's more about the relationship than the religion. So I learned that.
That's really good. I actually had a conversation with a friend this weekend about that. And it's like, sure, all these other things are about these religion, and sure, like technically Christianity is a religion, yes. But it's nothing without this relationship with Jesus. And to show it goes back to exactly what they were missing, the idea of Jesus. And that it's not just them missing that idea, it's us right here in America going to church every Sunday, going to church on Wednesday nights, being a part of all these groups. But sometimes we are so quick to miss just Jesus. Like we just need him, and everyone across the world needs Jesus. Then, did you say, I could be wrong, did you say that you went to a church where they were like, did you go to a church and they were speaking another language?
Sunday we went to the International Baptist Church that we had there, so they all spoke English, but we did go into a couple Catholic churches to like see, and there was Hungarian speaking.
Yeah, which I think that's really interesting to me, to like hear the other languages when they're praising the same God that we are, and being like, once again, we all are dependent on Jesus. We all need Jesus. It's the same God. Like it's not a different God for America and a different God for Hungary and a different God for Africa and a different God for all these places. It's the same God, and we're all in need of it. And it's whether we are able to submit to the idea of needing Jesus and being able to rely on him and finding that relationship with Jesus. But I think that is hard. Often I go through seasons of that too. Like, well, how am I supposed to be telling people about Jesus if I don't have it figured out yet? And it's like, well, I think we actually, this was on last episode too, but it's like God equips the called. He doesn't call the equipped. Like we're not supposed to have it all together. He's going to equip us, and he's going to prepare your heart and get you. And that doesn't mean it's going to be perfect and we're going to miss opportunities to share. But if he's calling you somewhere, he's going to lead you and he's going to provide, as long as we're staying in need of him, and in submission to his authority in that. What was your favorite day of the trip?
It was definitely Saturday. It was our last like real day of evangelism. Because Sunday we were just gonna go to church and see the rest of the city before we had to leave. But Saturday it was just like the past 3 days of evangelism. To me, it was just like, what do I do? Because like this is so hard. Like the group I was with, they were great. Like, but I was with two two other high school guys
Right.
in my group, and they just like to take over a lot.
Right, yes.
Yeah. I was just like, okay, I actually need to like talk to people today, because I would get myself so worked up.
Yeah.
Like I would just be like, okay, I need to go talk to this person, but they're just like talking to someone else. I'm like, maybe I need to wait, and then I would just like I'd lose my chance. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to like do this again.
Right.
And it was just like a whole like cycle.
Yeah.
Those past 3 days, and I was just like telling my parents back home. I was like, this is really discouraging, and I was just gonna add one more thing before I talk about Saturday. It was just like learning it was about obedience and not about what I said or how they responded to me.
Yeah.
Because I'd just like get done with the conversation, and like half of the conversations I talked to with someone, it felt like more of an obligation that they had to fill.
Yes.
They were just like, okay, you can pray for me. I was like, okay, well, thanks. We'll try to pray. Okay. But
okay,
yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking in my head, I was like, once she's done telling the story, I want to say that, because that is so good. And I honestly, that's a reminder of like, we're going to get easily discouraged.
Yeah.
In this world, there are people who are going to quickly turn us down when we talk about Jesus. But it probably reminded you, and it reminds me that like, I'm not the one to save people.
Yeah.
I cannot control how they respond to me, but I am responsible for my obedience. And so it's like, if the Lord, he called you to this trip, he called you to walk up to certain people, even in America, like if you're not on a mission trip, talk to your friends, talk to your schoolmates, teammates, coworkers, whatever. And we're called to share Jesus with them and love them. We're not responsible for how they respond. And then we can continue to pray that the Lord will soften their heart and for that seed to grow, and we can plant the seed. But so often we're not going to see. We might not see the flower bloom of salvation. You might be the first seed, you might be the 50th seed, but just to plant that seed and then be able to walk away knowing the Lord is in control of that. So thank you for saying that and being honest about it's easy to get discouraged. I was trying to share Jesus with a friend, and it was like, I'm like, where is this going? Like, and it just felt repetitive. And we talk about that in small group a lot with you and Kirsten sharing with a friend. And so often it feels like this is discouraging because you might not see them be saved right away. But that reminds us, we're not the ones being saved. We're called saving people. We're called to obedience, and then trusting that the Lord is going to use that seed to grow. So thank you for saying that. Okay. Now you can continue about your Saturday.
Okay, yeah. Saturday, so we like got up early because we were supposed to go to this island that we had invited all these people to, and the past days, like after we talked to them, we were like, okay, well, you can come hang out with us at this island. So we were gonna meet at like 9 and go all the way to 12. But that morning it started pouring down rain.
Of course.
So we were like, okay. So we just went back to the rented space so that we could debrief the whole week and like do it out of order. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the whole way I was just like, that morning I was just like, this is not gonna be a good day. Like, I just felt so down.
Yeah.
And my friends were just like, everyone was tired, and yeah, I was just like, I just don't want to go. And so we're just like walking down the street in the pouring rain. I'm just like, okay, well, this is my favorite weather, so maybe might as well make the most of it. So so when we got there, we like debriefed, and it was actually really encouraging to like hear everyone, because they were like, we went through this whole thing where we would write a sentence about, like, just to like summarize that whole week to someone who like was like, how did your mission trip go? Right. And they didn't want us to be like, oh, it was so much fun, we got to see this and this and this. They wanted us to actually talk about like the gospel. Yeah. They wanted to use that as a way to like share like what God is actually doing. Yeah. So that was like really encouraging to like go over the whole weekend. Like, even though like that whole week was hard, like it just, that frustration for me, it pushed me to want to share with others. Right. Because it was just like so sad that like these people don't want to know, and like it just made me want to like work harder. So that was good that God made me that way. Yeah. So, but we left that area and we got to go to the island at in the afternoon. And the island was awesome. Like, it was a tiny little island that had like a zoo and gardens everywhere. It was just like a big park space. And that day I got to talk to 31 people, which was double the amount of people I had talked to all week.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome.
That's so encouraging.
And my friends were there, so we like were so encouraged.
Yeah.
And there was this one homeless couple that like really stuck out to me because that's how we started the day. Like I like saw them because we were taking pictures in front of this sign that said Budapest,
Right.
and they were just sitting there with their like little board that said, "Can you give me money?"
Right.
And I was just like, I need to go up to them. So they did not speak English. We had to use Google Translate. But thank God that I had service there. So we got to talk to them for a while, and it was just really encouraging.
That's so
to see
encouraging. Yeah. And then to like leave, you know, like we get discouraged and then you get a little blessing. It's like, okay, keep going and encourage you. Okay, my last little question is like, how, for people listening that like can't go on a mission trip right now or anything like that, and they're feeling encouraged by what you're saying, how are you going to live differently here in your day-to-day life as reflect of that? And maybe me and the people listening can also be encouraged to do that here in America in our day-to-day lives. Like, is there anything that you're like, oh, I want to do that at home?
Well, definitely like you can't go up to people here and be like, I'm a tourist. Can you show me any gelato places?
Yes.
But leading up to this trip, like during the school year, like Matt says, like we are placed where we're supposed to be. Like we're placed to sit beside a classmate or have friends that have like are new, like just anywhere you meet, like you're placed in that area. So you have to use those opportunities because God does give you those opportunities. You just need the boldness and the courage to say something.
Right.
Which I've definitely been praying for that. And then also just like knowing that in your waiting here, because God calls everyone to missions, but like in your waiting, you can always just like practice what you've learned.
Right.
And also like just because you're not on missions doesn't mean you don't have to like pray for others. So you definitely want to pray for those who are out there right now because
it's really good.
I could see how our team was pretty encouraging to the team living there because just that whole team was just like talking about how hard it was to live there, like away from everyone, and especially just because the culture
being rejected so many times.
No one wants to talk to you there. But you just like never know like what someone's going through.
Yeah.
And we saw that a lot when a couple people were saved.
Yeah. That's really cool. So to be praying, something we can do here is be praying for those that are on mission already. And then also, like what you just said, like you were where you are on for a purpose, and like your mission field might not be in Africa, and it might not be in Asia, and it might not be in India. Your mission field could be right where you are and in your home, and to take advantage of that. And also, if you feel led to go, go. We need more people to go and be sent. But if you are called to right where you are, take advantage of it and pray for boldness. That's really good. That's something I've been doing is like praying for opportunities, but then praying for boldness when those opportunities come. Because if an opportunity comes, but I don't have any boldness, then who cares? Like I'm just watching the opportunity go by. And it's just that reminder of like, we are not the ones saving people. But we are able to plant a seed because we have the Holy Spirit in us working through us. But thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being willing to go and that sacrifice of not knowing them. It wasn't like, you know, with our church or with like a group of people.
I did not know anyone.
No, and just like the boldness, even in that, the step of faith, like honestly showing just like the step of faith, going out of your comfort zone. Last week's podcast was like, we can't grow in what we're super comfortable in, and you had to step out of your comfort zone and you grew in. And so I'm proud of you, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye guys.